my pop out, you trash. Okay. So, let's recap. Okay.
Okay.
Last time you did stuff. Cool. Okay. You explored some stuff. Cool. Um, you took some notes. Let's go to your notes. You had some hashtags you probably need to remember. One of them being mirror. One of them being.
See if I made any new ones.
Okay. Interesting.
I was messing around in the explore mode
Mm-hmm.
to see certain combinations had similarities, like this right here,
Mm-hmm.
the straight line going diagonally. The solution is very simple. You just click each one
Mm-hmm.
time. So I tried straight line, the adjacent tiles, and it was not simple. I couldn't figure it out.
Did you? That's interesting. Did you give a hashtag to the when you can solve a puzzle by clicking the lights? Did you call that anything?
uh, I did not. I was just gonna call it like I was gonna call this one a line and this one a slash. Then it already was named that, so it already like had its own hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
didn't think about that, having one for,
how you solve it?
yeah, would probably be a good idea.
Cool.
I just create that.
You can. You can make a tip and space hashtag and name it whatever you want. Just click them. Nice. Cool. All right. Um, cool. Go to your puzzle select, or so you have your. We don't have the daily challenges yet. We should probably unlock those.
Be in here.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've gone back and listened to any lectures, but we'll keep powering through to unlock the features. Okay, there you go. Unlock all daily challenges. There. Bam. You skipped. You skipped the yellow mark.
Okay. Daily challenges.
Go ahead and try daily one.
3 clicks minimum. So let's get rid of that. I can make it be here. I can do that. 3, 4. Cross. Cross here. I need these. For that and that. See. This. Yep. Oh.
Cool. And you have sound on, right, when you're playing, or what?
I have the sound on?
Do you have sound as you're playing? Do you hear stuff?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So click the done button. It takes you to the review. That last puzzle, you can scroll to the point where you have that last puzzle. Somewhere in there. Yeah, back up a few. You have a scroll wheel, right? Or no, you're on a laptop. Still, okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
go forward. Take a note of this.
Not sure what to say because I'm not sure what I'm missing.
Just say, don't know what I'm missing. Daily one
Wait,
challenge.
I know.
6 clicks.
A hashtag for that. It
Yeah,
is.
there you go. Hit space. Yeah, you hit. And then hit. Yeah, that's good. Question mark is good for this one because you are trying to tell yourself to go back and figure out something. So cool. Now go back. And then go back one more level. So daily challenge 1 is interesting because you don't need to know any of the shapes to play it. So at any point, anyone can get a decent baseline for how they're doing. So click back again. Go to explore mode. Oops. Go to back again. Go to my thoughts. Click on the top note. There's 3 buttons, or 2 buttons near the bottom. One that says explore it. Boom. Okay. So now you have the puzzle here and infinite time to look at it, But how would you approach trying to better understand what the heck this thing is?
Oh, problem I was ended up with is that I found stuff that was working in a sense, like it would get me to like shapes that I want and the lights that I want, but then it would leave me with like these hanging lights would like separate from the group. Like I ended up that one time I ended up with just one light left.
Mm-hmm.
So feel like I feel like this one is like I have to like carry things. Like if I started here, I'd have to like carry it up here around, close it off somewhere.
Okay, so write that.
A lot of puzzles have been like that.
Write what you just told me and put it in as like a tip or something. And you should probably add a hashtag walk lights at the end. Cool. Hit save. Or tips, yeah. Okay, so now, would you use any tools? I don't think you have all the tool I kind of wanted you to use. Okay, so ignore that. Um, that's fine for now. Interesting. You can try walking it around, and if that doesn't work, we'll move on.
Okay. So ClickKeeper actually helped out when I was messing around with some stuff
Mm-hmm.
in between sessions. Is every puzzle ever make the same click twice?
You're asking,
Don't.
say it again?
Well, when I was messing around with stuff in between sessions,
Mm-hmm.
I was using the ClickKeeper. Um, and what I noticed, and it makes sense when I think about it, you never make the same click twice, do you, to solve a puzzle?
Correct. Why would that be the case?
It's just going backwards. It's just
Yeah.
undoing what you've done.
Yeah, it's just toggling
Doesn't.
it back.
Yeah,
Cool. So write that down. If
think I did.
cool, then you don't need to do it again.
I made a note of that.
Cool. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so remember I tried this because it felt good to shape.
Is that walking it
Then that
around?
it's not.
So do the walk around. I'll just hit clear. Just hit clear. Okay, good. There it's back. So
But if I were to do that, then I would do something like this.
okay. That's back where you were.
That leaves me. I wouldn't be able to continue doing that. I'd have to jump
Okay.
somewhere.
Reset. When you were explaining it, you hovered over a certain area of the grid and said, I think I have to walk around. So where was that?
Oh, down here.
Okay. Try it. Keep working it from the bottom. Yeah.
Doesn't feel right.
Keep going. Okay, so look at the solution pattern there.
Hmm.
Right, you worked it from the bottom and went upwards. Now clear it and do the other way you were doing it.
Going around like a
You started
circle
you started at the top the other way.
up here.
Yeah. So none of these were the same clicks. Keep, keep going. Click the top rows like you did before. So the other solution you did had none of those clicks clicked. The solution you found had different ones clicked.
Okay.
That should clue you in on certain things, right? Like typically to get a different way to solve it, you have to click different lights. So if you try to solve it one way and it just doesn't look like it works at all, you might try to very consciously not click the same things that you clicked. But in order to do that, you gotta have kind of a plan going in.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So
Needing to have a plan.
yeah, so your strategy currently is to look at the board and at each turn kind of see what you can see and try to make a pretty good decision based off of that. However,
Hmm.
um, that means you're thinking every single click, and that slows you down. But
Yeah.
ultimately, you can realize like if you have a plan, you can just carry it through and just see what's left, and then reset it and get some data a lot faster. So, like let's say if I told you, um, on the very outer circumference of this grid, if there's a light there right now, I want you to click all of those lights. Like how many clicks would that make?
Thing on the edge that would make. I could turn them off with 3 clicks.
That's not what I said.
Okay, then
So,
I'm misunderstanding you.
so if I give you a random plan and it's just click, if there's a light on the perimeter of this grid right now, I want you to keep track of where those positions are and click those. How many clicks would that be?
Okay. Oh, 4.
4? Count it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's 6. Try again. If there's a light on the perimeter of this grid right now,
Yeah.
and you had to click those positions, where would those positions be?
Okay, so you're not talking about
No.
the fact that they're connected, just
No.
the individual lights. Okay, so then here, 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 and here.
And there's the one in top middle with 6 clicks.
So,
Remember? There. So yeah, that's just a simple plan, right? Doesn't mean it's good or bad, but being able to have one and execute it fast means you play faster. And now when you look at the grid, uh, things look different, right? You could get rid of the T on the left, and you could get there's a slash from the top right down to the bottom left. You could get rid of that.
Mm.
Go ahead and do that. Stop. Okay, let's get rid of the T. And then you got some crazy thing on the right, right? It doesn't solve itself, but at least you found this like very quickly. And the cool part about having a plan is, without the click keeper, you can probably get to the same position. Like clear it. So now you know, like, to get back to wherever I was, I execute plan number one, and then I solve for like two shapes that I see that jump out at me, right? And it's easy to remember. You can execute it faster, and you can see what you can see better. If you evaluate every turn, you're probably gonna lose track after like 2 clicks or so because everything's just constantly shifting. Um, so that's just like an interesting thing to be aware of, right? Whether you bake the analysis into every turn you look at, or you bake it into the little plan that you have. There's pros and cons, but the definite pros of having a plan is you frees up brain power and it makes you play faster. Cool. So if there was another plan, the first plan that you had when you solved this was basically solving from top to bottom, and the plan that worked was solving from bottom to top, right, and kind of pushing the lights up.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what would another plan be that's similar to those?
If I go from the bottom and then go from bottom to top, then I could try starting at the middle and pushing out
What's another one?
side to side.
Yeah, so that's 5 plans you have now, and you could probably execute them very quickly without too much brain work. So in the future, you can make a note of this too. When you're in the daily one, you solve it like you normally do. If that doesn't work, just start hitting one of the 5 plans and see how quickly you can cycle through all of them, and you can see how effective that is. Right? Because recognizing that your default strategy is a plan, that means you'll only try it once. If it doesn't work once, it's not going to work twice or 3 times, right? And then you have some fallbacks. And if you have 6 total plans, at least you have something to do. There are a lot of players who will operate with a plan, but if they never recognize that they have one, they'll never even consider what the alternatives will be, whether they are good or bad, right? So that was a good thing for you to do right now.
And I've noticed myself doing that, even though we've mentioned it times, and how people just do the same thing over and over again. Yeah, well, me too.
Yeah, every single human, unfortunately. It's the only way to break out of that is to kind of ask yourself questions, go a little slower, be a little more conscious, and then sometimes you just have to sleep on it. That's just how it is. Rest your brain, get a reset, come back with fresh eyes, that kind of a thing. Yeah, but cool. You fully worked out this particular challenge from the daily one, and you are free to move on to whatever else you want to do.
But a little bit more puzzle mode. I didn't do too much.
You have, I think you have blind mode. Click on ring number 2. The ring of puzzles there. Click once. Okay, now click the blind eye. Oh, click on the ring of puzzles. Click the blind eye, but in the middle of it. It's not working. Zoom in. Click ring number 2. Click the blind eye. Okay. Now you can click ring number 2 again, that puzzle, and it'll take you.
Oh, then let's go blind. I'll do that, and then I'll do that. It's the name up there, though.
Sorry. Go next to blind. The name is there, yes.
Do one of those, do one of those.
blind mode either tests your ability to memorize the clicks or to have some kind of a plan before you start changing things, right?
Mm,
These are simple enough that your plan, you can plan it out because it's just 2 clicks.
yeah.
Cool.
Mm,
Yeah, exercising different mental muscles. You did it. You did the whole ring.
I noticed, didn't notice this before, but some of those didn't matter. Like, of the things to click, it didn't matter which one I clicked first. Is that true for all of these?
Test it. Go to
Because I didn't.
go to explore mode. You can put on click keeper and test it yourself.
Yeah, I did this one, that, that. Um, uh, holds true. This one. And so if I went the other way, it would do the same thing. So maybe you don't want to answer the question, then I should figure out myself. But is that true of every possible puzzle?
Why wouldn't it be true? You told me earlier that if you click a thing and then click it again later, you're just undoing your work. So that means
Yeah.
that whatever the click solution is, that means that all the other lights weren't clicked and only those lights were clicked. And if you never undo your work, then is there any way to do it incorrectly? Or rather, the nature of the grid is toggles, right? So if things
Yeah.
toggle on and off, and then you have a certain combination of toggles, does it matter which one is toggled first when it's a toggle?
Apparently not, because like my gut would have said yes, just because it gets so complicated. Like, oh, this one takes 10 clicks just to get
Mm-hmm.
perfectly, and I would have just naturally assumed that the order you do those specific 10 clicks in
Mm-hmm.
matter.
So think about every symmetrical puzzle you've seen, every puzzle that's has a mirror component or a diagonal symmetry, right? It makes sense that you could start on either end of the symmetry.
Yeah.
But there's nothing special about those puzzles that make the grid change. It just makes it a little bit more obvious when you are solving it. And any property that's true for the simplest of puzzles, because the rules don't change, may be possible for the most complex of puzzles as well.
So that is it's good information. Not, but it seems like it is. Basically, we're gonna make the same twice. As long as you're doing the right clicks, it doesn't matter what order you do them in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. What do you think? What do you think we should do?
So, go to a daily challenge.
Okay.
Now, some of these are, I mean, each of these tests something very different, but I think you should do, I think you should do daily challenge 4.
Scratch, reverse engineer your learned solutions. So it wants me to create this one.
Mm-hmm. And you can create it in any orientation or whatever. You can click that little guide shape to rotate it if you want.
Potato. Okay.
Click it again.
Let's see.
Keep clicking. There you go. It could be anything you want.
Okay. Okay, well, let's just make a plan and do it.
Mm-hmm. you were gonna solve that puzzle, where would you click first?
I don't know, because this one always messed me. But
Okay.
here,
Okay. Next. Next. Okay, make a pinball, even though it doesn't look like a pinball. Do you remember what pinball looked like?
oh, I don't.
It should. Make a click in the grate real quick. Yeah, there you go. So you can make pinball. Apply the same kind of thinking you did last time.
Yeah. Here. Here.
Cool. Click the thingy. Yeah. There you go. That's it.
Ones.
Cool. Even though that's a bit of a brain stretch, most people unlock this mode way later in the game.
Mm.
You know, it's all about how you're thinking about it. If you can come up with a plan, then executing it, executing it with confidence, and then kind of evaluating if it worked or not. Right? Like there are plenty of ways to eventually do this one, but no matter how many ways there are total, you only have what you have. So, not panicking, just sticking to the plan that you have, taking a moment to be like, is there any other way I could have done this, or and things like that are important.
In line with why I didn't think of this beforehand, but same X. Creating a pattern from scratch, same clicks as solving puzzle.
That's one more.
Hashtag duh.
That's one more gameplay experience that would probably get you closer and closer to realizing that click order doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you're like, wait, I just made it from scratch. You're like, wait, it's the same clicks. Wait, like I didn't click it the same. Wait a minute, and like there's a whole bunch of wait a minutes. It's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good session for today. You can play as much as you want, but that gave you a lot to think about.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, those little epiphanies and those little things that you figure out. It's weird starting a new puzzle, even though you may be on a different puzzle game. You understood things like that, and you come into a new puzzle, like, why don't you just immediately assume not that it'll have the same rules as another type of puzzle, but that why wouldn't you immediately assume, oh, it must have some rule like that? Help me out. Um, like if you were like to play Picross, and then it would be like how numbers line up
Yep.
same way every time, and you can extrapolate that based on other things. Like this one is 7-3, that one's 8-2, etc. But why wouldn't this the same way where I can find some sort of trick, like oh, solving a puzzle and creating a puzzle are the same patterns? Duh.
It's funny how you say that. Like, um, the mental energy you need to evaluate the board every single time, I think, kind of also prevents you from recognizing those bigger patterns. Because if every time the board
Yeah.
changes, you go, "Oh, I'm in unfamiliar territory. Let me just take it at face value." You're not remembering where it was, and you're not probably thinking about where it can be. But then when you kind of think about Picross, you take a step back. You're like, "Huh." Every time I do this, it turns into this, or the last three puzzles I played all kind of had this. That's when you start to observe more complexity, and that can reveal tricks and patterns and the nature of the puzzle itself. But yeah, you can play Picross too with your head buried into every single column, and you'll probably miss out on some of the more advanced techniques they use, which is neat. There's a lot of them. And just kind of seeing the numbers and going, well, it can only be so many things because numbers have to line up in Picross, and the rules say that it must be this way. Yeah. I always found that so fascinating. Because no matter
I
how.
think that kind of.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that kind of attitude to like how you approach things is probably the reason why I love puzzle games. Like from the beginning up to a certain point, and then everything just shuts off. And after that point, I like can't do it anymore.
Yeah. There's this critical point when the complexity like collapses on itself. I've seen people do that with enLIGHTen. Their plan is essentially click on the centers of lights or push lights, make symmetrical clicks and push lights together. Well, that plan works for the first 4 rows or so, and then it stops. And then they have no idea what to do because they thought they were just playing the game, the one way that seemed to work. But yeah, definitely. Puzzle games don't help you review. They don't kind of help you think in the right way. It's all on you. And if you get lost, if you kind of push yourself too hard in an assumption, it's so hard to get out of that. Almost nobody wants to go back in traditional puzzle games and play it from the beginning to figure out what they've been assuming poorly. That's not fun. So a lot of people just give up. I had this similar experience when I played what was it? Lincoln Launch for DSiWare. And I was playing and playing. I can I'm gonna put it on the stream. Critical gaming. And let me type in Lincoln Launch.
Here, so I can
Yeah,
get
you
that.
can keep going. Link. Cool. Cool. So it's on the screen, but I will show this. I had so I was like golding it has like 100 levels, and I was golding the first column. I'm like, yeah, feeling good. And then the second column, I got them all gold except for the last one in it, and I was like, it's a silver. And I'll share the screen with you so you can see. And you can kind of see the column 2, the green one, the very top one's silver. I'm like, well, I almost got it. It was a little tricky. I'll move on. The next column is gold, all up into the last 2. I'm like, well, they kind of got hard, but silver still was pretty good. The next column's gold, gold, silver, silver, gold, gold, silver, silver, gold, bronze. And then it's gold, silver, silver, gold, silver, bronze, and like slowly getting harder,
Uh,
right? And then like the tricks that I had will work for, as you can see, some of these, right? The whatever strategy I had, whatever property continued to work, but not there was more things to learn, and I wasn't keying in on it. So then my gold started to disappear. 3 gold, 3 gold, 2 gold, 1 gold, 0 gold, more and more bronze, more and more silver into the last puzzle in the game, right? Took me so long. It was obviously the hardest puzzle in the game. And I could tell I did not have the mental clarity or the tricks, and I was just like trying things over and over, and I could feel myself trying the same thing. I was so frustrated. I'm like, it's the last puzzle. I don't want to play this anymore. I spent hours on the last one when it took me basically hours to get up to that point, right? And it's like, well, I know the feeling that we were talking about very, very well, right? I played enough puzzle games, and now I have this beautiful chart to display exactly what that phenomena feels like. You're slowly losing all your gold, slowly losing your confidence, and then having a very frustrating finish. But yeah, that's just what it means, right? The complexity builds and builds, and soon what little thing you had isn't enough, right? And some people play the early levels in enLIGHTen and say like it's too easy. I just breeze through them. Well, there's a lot to learn there, despite it being so easy, right? Things to think about, things to look out for, things to prepare your mind for. And even though most people don't proceed and through easy things with that kind of mindset, they probably should, because
yeah, I mean, I just figured out a trick just by doing the level 2 puzzles again, blind mode.
Yep. And that's why I don't unlock blind from the beginning. People are like, ooh, what is it? I'm like, you'll see. And then whenever people get to it, it has a reason to go back to the puzzles, and usually that catapults them forward a bit because they hadn't visited the early ones in such a long time. So yeah, it's just a reason why it's designed like that. But definitely, yeah, you'll discover stuff. And there's simple things like you can imagine someone who plays a level 2 click puzzle and goes, wait a minute, order doesn't matter, and wait a minute, if I click the same one and unclick it, it just undoes the work, and wait a minute, they could figure out a bunch of stuff just on level 2 puzzles, right? But people don't, because they see that finish line, they're like, cool, did it, move on. But yeah,
Because if you see the solution right away, then you're not
what else matters, right?
in anything.
So it's just really interesting watching you learn. It's interesting to hear you talk about it. I hear people say things all the time when they play enLIGHTen, and some things are really key, and some things are just like lingering questions. And for the most part, before I would just keep my mouth shut and like let them play and see what happens. But with you in this particular run, I'm like, okay, let's just address it immediately when you see it, and then see how you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Until next session, guys, my name is Richard. This is Frank, and we'll be coaching in enLIGHTen in the future. If you want to play this game, go to designoriented.net/enlighten game to download it for yourself. If you play it, you can join our Discord at designoriented.net/discord. Come chat with me, show me what your gameplay looks like, show me your high scores, or just talk about learning and design. It's something that we do pretty much 24 hours a day, so you are welcome to join us. But until then, guys, see ya.